Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Hello and welcome to today's section of the program, The Law, the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television, a program that bridges the gap between the government and the people. Well, today on the program we'll take a look at 2023 Guba election. INEC postpones election. Of course, there was wide speculations that INEC may likely postpone the elections owing to the fact that the Labour Party presidential candidates Peter Obi and also Atiku Abubakar, the PDP presidential candidate, had approached the court, the election appeal court, to seek for a redress on the just concluded presidential election, feeling that the election went the other way round. They feel INEC was biased in their collation and that they won the election and not the APC presidential candidate. Well, the court had sat yesterday to listen to Peter Obi, and of course INEC had also sought for the court to permit them to reconfigure the beaver so they can use it for the coming governorship polls, which has been postponed till next week, Saturday, the 18th day of March 2023. All right, to talk about this topic, we have a guest joining us virtually in the person of Barrister Martins Ope. But before we bring him in, my name is Rachel David White. Welcome to the show. All right, let's now get to our guest. Good evening, Barrister.
Good evening, Rachel.
All right, good evening, Barrister. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, Barrister, without wasting much time, let's get to the business of the day. Well, of course, there were wide speculations that INEC may likely postpone the elections that were supposed to come up in just a day time. That would have been on the 11th of March, which is this Saturday. But I think it went as it was speculated that INEC finally postponed the elections due to some other challenges they had. The first thing I would like to ask now, the decision to postpone the 2023 governorship election has been, it has generated a lot of mixed feelings and across boards. So I would like to ask, what is your reactions concerning this, or what are your reactions concerning this?
All right, thank you, Rachel. For me, it is proper for INEC to postpone the election.
Why do you feel so?
INEC has said that INEC has said that they will require 5 days to reconfigure the beavers machines for use for the governorship and the state house of assemblies election. And it was just yesterday that the courts had asked that the BVAS machine should be reconfigured for use since the Labour Party presidential candidate and the Labour Party as a party had approached the court in an application trying to stop the commission from tampering with the machines for the purpose of generating evidence electronically for their case in the court, in the presidential election tribunal. Therefore, the court having made that pronouncement yesterday, the commission are constrained with time to make adequate preparation with regards to configuring the BVAS machine for use on Saturday. Remember, they have said it will take them 5 days to go through the reconfiguration processes.
Okay, well, INEC said the reconfiguration of the beavers now, following its inspection by the Labour Party, PDP, and PDP presidential candidate respectively, would not afford it enough to actually prepare for the governorship polls. Now, do you consider that as a lack of preparation in INEC's or on INEC's part?
I would not think so. I would not think so because I am sure INEC did not have in plans that there will be litigation processes that will amount to presidential aspirants inspecting the sensitive material that was used for the elections, like the BVAS machines. Now, the issue of inspecting the BVAS machine has arose, and INEC and the court has granted both the Labour Party presidential candidates and the PDP presidential candidates, Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, the leave for them to inspect the BVAS machines. Now, for them to do that, and INEC, on the other hand, also want to wipe out the data in the beavers, it becomes conflicting. So for
And
that
not
not to
just wipe
happen,
out.
the matter was already presented before.
Barrister, INEC gave assurances that, of course, they were going to send all the data on the beavers to their back-end servers,
To
so
the back
nothing will
end
be
of
tampered
the
with.
beavers. Okay. Now, when you talk about INEC sending all the data in the beavers to the back end of their server, how do we trust INEC? As we speak now, Rachel, how nobody in this country can trust INEC. Even the acclaimed winners of the election, they themselves they cannot trust INEC because in my in one of my parlance, it is said that if a brother takes a brother to the market to go and sell, even the buyer will not trust the seller. So even those who claim to have won the elections, they themselves cannot trust INEC. So Rachel, nobody can trust INEC. If INEC promised us that they would transmit votes from the polling unit electronically to the server, but they failed to do that. They backslided in their avowed pronouncement. How much can we now trust any that they are going to transfer the data in the Beavers machine to the back end of the server? What happens tomorrow if after the time that the Labour Party presidential candidate and Atiku Abubakar they want to generate evidence from the back end of the server and they cannot find it? What will happen? So I think it is proper that the inspection should take place. Let those who have a case before the court, let them inspect the the sensitive materials while INEC postpones the election and also take their time to reconfigure the Beavers nation so that I think that is proper. Everything will be fair. All parties will have a sense of fairness and equity.
Okay, before I get to a particular question, I wanted to ask, let me ask, why do you feel or think INEC's decision now is or do you think it's medicine after death? Now, that's the first question. Then, considering it should have known that there would be post-election litigation. So, don't you think it should have planned pre-time, before time, just in case something like this happens?
Okay. First, you said whether I think it is a medicine after death. For me, postponement of election is not novel in Nigeria. It's not a new thing. And postponement, for me, it is not also a bad omen. It is not a bad thing. Already, the Act had provided for postponement of election in Section 24, sub 2 precisely. It talks about postponement of election in situation of emergency. Now, INEC, the commission has found themselves in an emergency situation. Therefore, I think they are backed up by Section 24, sub 2 of the Electoral Act to postpone the election because it is an emergency. One, even as of yesterday, when the court gave the ruling, the time frame that the court gave them will not still avail them the ample opportunity for them to reconfigure the BVAS machines. They said they needed about 5 days to do that. So yesterday, today, and Saturday, they will not have 5 good days to reconfigure the machine because we do not want excuses any longer. Let INEC not rely on the fact that the time given to them to reconfigure the machines was not up to 5 days as they said. That is the reason that they could not transmit results online in the governorship and state house of assembly election, or they could not conduct a free and fair process. I am saying this for the sake of INEC themselves and for the sake of Nigerians.
Okay.
Because the Professor Mahmoud late commission has tainted its name, and I think this is an opportunity for him to clear his name and rewrite his name boldly on the sands of time for Nigerians. Because as we speak now, coming arising from what happened in the presidential election, no Nigerian, even the one that is inside the stomach of the mother yet unborn, could hardly trust Professor Mahmoud Yakubu.
No, that's a strong one. Well,
Please, your second question, Rachel.
Okay, well, INEC has
I've forgotten the second question, yes.
what did you say? Okay.
Please, your second question, please.
Okay. I asked, don't you think INEC did not prepare enough? Had it been they prepared enough, they would have made, of course, they would have known that likely they would have likely had issues like these litigations we're having right now. So they should have, of course, prepared well and know that the beavers are going to be used for 2 elections in case something like this comes up.
You see, that is the problem that we have in this country. People keep talking more than walking. They will talk the talk and cannot walk the walk. This is the same prophet, professor. I should call him a prophet now, but he's not. Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, that was in Chatham House. He was in Chatham House, assuring the whole world, because it wasn't only Nigerians that view that program at the Chatham House. It wasn't only Nigerians that follow up that program. Everybody across the globe followed that session at the Chatham House. He assured the whole world that it was that INEC is more than ready. He gave us the readiness of the.
Okay, I think we're having network issues, so I pray we are able to get him again. Meanwhile, let me use this time to inform you that you can be a part of the program by calling the phone number that will be displayed on your TV screen. Feel free to send us a text message or a WhatsApp message. Let's talk. Of course, Nigerians had expected that due to the much irregularities we had on the just concluded presidential election, and of course the fact that the other two presidential candidates of the Labour Party and PDP had taken their cases to court and prayed the courts to give them time to at least go through the information that was saved on the beavers and of course other election sensitive materials. Well, I think our guest is back, so we'll talk to him. All right, so let's just wait. When he comes back, we can actually talk to him. Well, what do you think about that? Do you think that this is a good one for Nigerians? Do you think that well, postponing the elections may actually give chance for so much irregularities? Let's know your take. Let's take a call. Hello, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, madam. Well done. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm fine also.
Okay, tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
This is Isa calling from Bauchi.
All right, Isa, go ahead.
So actually, this postponement cannot be a positive to Nigeria. But my own is, I assume that INEC, knowing that this election will go in 2 stages, they should have planned in such a way that this beaver can just store this information directly and do the other one, let them run concurrently on the beaver without any backup or whatever they call it. For example, our phones, you put a memory and you save a lot of documents on your phone or on your whatever device you have. So what is the difference? This is a electronic device. So let it be provided with all the necessary items that can save whatever it is done on it without requesting for another backup or whatever they call it in the central, what do they call it? Let everything remain intact in the beaver without tampering with it.
Okay.
So that we ever wish to check something there, beaver. So actually, we are really disappointed with INEC. Look at the amount of money that is spent on this beaver and all their preparation for this election. And look at what we are harvesting. Actually, this is not a good development for us in Nigeria. But I must repeat once more, I'm really delighted with Nigerians, with the way they conducted themselves in the presidential election and the aftermath of the election. Let all of us, the masses of Nigeria, that is the Talakawas, as we call ourselves in the north, let us unite and do what can take us to the promised land. We forget about these people. They are not doing it for our own benefit. They are just there protecting their own interests. Look at this issue of cash. The Supreme Court has made a judgment, and up till this moment, no anything is done to alleviate. For us here in the north, we are facing a critical period in our religious affair. We are soon going to start fasting, and look at us going up and down to have some little cash to take out. People are dying in the hospital. So these leaders actually they are not really considering what is going on in this country. We pray for Almighty Allah to give us people who can look into our problem and provide solution for the problems of Nigeria. And may God bless us. And I wish and pray all Nigerians will understand what I'm saying. We should not be deceived with religion and ethnic ethnic divisions in this country. These leaders, they are not after our common need.
That's right now. Welcome back, Barrister.
Thank you, Rachel. Sorry for the...
Our caller said maybe we wouldn't have had this issue, if they had known that they have 2 elections to conduct, the governorship and the presidential elections. Maybe they would have prepared against this loophole right now.
Yes, thank you very much. As I was saying, I don't know, maybe you'll be shocked to hear that I will say INEC was not even prepared to conduct this election.
Why do you say so?
Looking at what happened in the presidential and national assembly elections, it is very clear that INEC was not ready to conduct this election.
But they gave us their words that they were ready.
This country. The commission were just moving around this country, talking whatever they like without being prepared for this election. It is the same commission that told Nigerians that they are even ready to conduct a rerun election in the event where no presidential candidate meets the constitutional requirement of 2/3 majority in 24 states. Now, we did not even get to that point. But why would INEC be sending one beavers to each of the polling units? There are polling units that you have up to 1,000+ voters waiting. And because it is only one beaver that is being sent to a polling unit, that is why you could see in some part of the north, they voted up to night. Voting ended at night. So what in a situation whereby there is a breach of security, can't INEC send at least two beavers to a polling unit, depending on the strength of that polling, on the human strength of that polling unit. INEC were not ready to conduct this election, because if they were very much ready to conduct this election, now they would have contemplated the fact that after the presidential election, there will be what follows next is litigation. Of course, there have always been litigation.
Yes.
That the candidate will or may want to inspect those sensitive materials. And they know very well that those sensitive materials will also be used for the governorship and the House of Assembly elections. Now, it is because of their lack of preparedness, they had to postpone the elections just because they were not prepared. Okay, what happened to the over 300 billion naira? I'm correct that the federal government sunk into this election. INEC took a whopping capital amount of the nation's budget in order to conduct this election, an amount that can finance the budget of a state in this country, and still INEC could not deliver a free and fair election for us. And still INEC could not prepare enough to conduct the gubernatorial and state House of Assembly elections.
Okay, you
Now
said
the election has been postponed.
okay.
I just wish that INEC would take this time and tighten up their seatbelts and make sufficient preparations to conduct the elections on the 18th. It is not about conducting elections. We do not just want elections again. We want proper elections. We want free and fair process. We want election that the commission himself are ready to conduct. If they are not ready to conduct a free and fair process, I think it will be better they still postpone the election again.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you think that if the results were transmitted electronically like they promised, okay, according to the Constitution, the electoral guidelines, do you think that even with the APC presidential candidates, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, becoming the Nigerian president-elect, that there would have been much issues like we are having right now?
Yes, of course. What happened is that some of the results that we are seeing is not actually what transpired. It's not actually the electoral transaction that took place at the polling unit. You see what happened at the polling unit, and you see what what they use in declaring some of the units and some of the RAs. It is totally different. You see the ones that were declared at the polling unit, the ones that were voted and counted and announced at the polling unit, they are totally at variance with what is of with the real thing that was obtainable. Sorry, not with the real thing, but with what was obtainable at the National Collation Center. So the reason for transmitting results electronically was for transparency. Yes, it was for the credibility of the election. There is no way you will count the votes, announce it, snap it, or however, and transmit it electronically with immediate effect when the voters were still around. There is no way there would have been what happened. So, transmitting the result electronically immediately after counting and collation and announcement of the result from at the polling unit, it is the best thing that can ever happen to our electoral system.
All right. Well, there are concerns that INEC's refusal to address and deal with the lapses that occurred during the presidential election may lead to even bigger issues during the now rescheduled March 18th elections. What do you think about this? Now, also, the DSS had come out to speak, saying that they perceive that some people are planning to, of course, launch an attack during the governorship election. What do you think about that?
Please, Rachel, please.
What
is
do
your
you
question?
think may play? Okay, I said that recently the DSS had said something about suspected attacks during the governorship elections, although it is ready and prepared to, of course, launch a preventive measure. But there are also concerns that INEC's refusal to address and deal with the lapses that occurred in the just concluded presidential elections may lead to even bigger issues. What do you think this would play in the mind of voters?
Well, I think since the election has been postponed, I don't think INEC is postponing this election only on one grounds. I do not think they are postponing this election because they want to reconfigure the BVAS machine. I think they are postponing this election so that they will also, the postponement will equally afford them ample time for them to prepare themselves enough. Where they were having issues, it should be sorted out. I don't think there is any excuse or reason why they should postpone the election, and at the same time it will still be the same thing that happened in the presidential election. Now that the election has been shifted to the 18th, now they have time to prepare themselves, starting from the reconfiguration of the BVAS machine to making arrangement on how the result will be transmitted electronically. Already the court had told the commission that they must transmit vote electronically.
Yeah, I was coming to that. Now, I was coming to that. Now, this time, the assurances are not coming from INEC. The assurances are coming from the courts that, or should I say, a directive.
Rachel,
go ahead.
Do we even need any assurances from the commission? No, we do not need assurances from them. The assurances that INEC gave us here in Nigeria and at the Chatham House is enough for us to rely on. Is enough for us to repose our confidence on that. And it is not even the assurances of the commission that we should wait for INEC to transmit the vote electronically. We are relying on the law. The law says that the commission must transmit vote electronically.
But we still had the law when things went wrong.
Electoral guidelines. What do you say, Rachel?
I said we still had the law before things went wrong.
Yes, of course, we still had the law when things went on. That is why we are in court. That's why the aggrieved parties are in court. That will be sorted out. For now, the law is still in place, and the law is that INEC must transmit votes electronically. Even the guidelines that INEC came up with still talks about transmission of vote electronically. So we are not going to rely on the assurances given to us by the commission. We are relying on the law. As a lawyer, I am relying on the law. So INEC does not have anything to excuse them from doing the needful. They have to conduct the election in accordance with the laid down rules and the regulatory framework, which is the law. So transmitting of votes electronically is nothing but a provision of the law, and that must be done. Not only the transmission of vote electronically, they must also ensure that whatever that is needed for the transition to be done is done. Now, INEC has said, first to Sokoye, the National Commissioner on Voters Education, has said that the voters education, yes, he said that the BVAS machine does not need network. It does not need network. That all that the BVAS machine needs is just battery. That all it needs is battery to transmit the vote electronically.
So when we had issues,
the excuses that there was no network. Even if there was no network, who is responsible for the provision of network? Is it not their work? What was their indices for taking a whopping 300 billion naira from the national budget? Was it not to partner with those who can provide them with the necessary things that is needed for the conduct of a free and fair election? One, if there was no network, if at all the BVAS machine needs network, they are in the position to partner with the network providers.
Yeah,
Those who are in charge of providing the
Barrister, at
network.
the NCC, of course, just before the elections, few
Yes, of
days
course, they
before the
should partner with
elections,
NCC.
yeah, a few days before the elections, NCC debunked the speculations that networks was going to be bad, or it
There will be
was,
network
yeah,
outage.
or yeah, there wasn't going to be network on the election days or before the elections. They came out to debunk that particular rumor.
Okay, I personally did not even rely on what the NCC said because directly from speaking authoritatively, taking off from what First Okoye said, he said that the BVAS machine does not work on network. That
So
the only thing
now,
that is
Barrister,
needed.
now that we've heard that the Beavers mission does not need network, now what do you say about the persons or some reports that some of the INEC officials and the ad hoc staffs that INEC had in the polling units during the presidential elections actually said they didn't have networking to transfer election results electronically?
Rachel, I am telling you, this is Nigeria. The We don't need to say this over and over again. Of course, you and I, we know that the election that took place on the 25th of February was highly compromised. It was highly compromised.
Okay.
INEC themselves sabotaged. INEC colluded with with a party, some persons, which I do not know, and sabotaged the elections in its entirety. We should not be
Let me
talking
ask you
about.
something, Barrister. You talked about the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. You're being disappointed in him, and of course, he dented his
Of
image.
course,
Now, would you support the call from most Nigerians and rights groups that the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, should be suspended or even sacked?
well, in Senate clients, people like Professor Mamu Yakubu shouldn't even wait for rights groups and other groups to come out to advocate for his resignation. In Senate clients, like in the Western world, as we have always seen, the immediate past Prime Minister of UK committed what I would call a very flimsy mistake in his economic policies. She admitted, and she waited for nobody to tell her to resign. She threw in the towel by herself after being the Prime Minister of UK for about 44 days. I think she's the shortest
Yeah.
serving Prime Minister of UK. She resigned on her own. But here in Africa,
Okay, so you feel he
you
should
will
have
see
resigned.
someone
He should
who
have
has
left by
committed
himself.
a very grievous offense. He will wait for the whole world to descend on him for him to resign. Still, he will not resign. So, for me, Professor Mamu Yakubu shouldn't even wait for any right group or any so-called organization to ask him to resign. He should have done that which is honorable by now. I expected Professor Mamu Yakubu to have resigned even before the conduct of the gubernatorial election because Nigerians have lost confidence on him. It is like it is like the parliament passing a vote of no confidence on the prime minister of UK. Of course, you know the implication of that. Once a vote of no confidence is passed on whoever that is the prime minister, it will not take up to 1 hour. Such a prime minister will resign. So Nigerians have expressed their dismay. It is very, very disheartening that what happened on the 25th of February happened. Nigerians have expressed their dismay on social media, on print media, on televised media, on radio houses, everywhere. And that is enough to pass to tell Professor Yakubu that Nigerians have passed a vote of no confidence on you. And as such, you are not credible enough. You are not in the right position again to conduct the
Another
gubernatorial
election.
and the House of Assembly. Yes, another election.
Okay.
So going by that, I think he shouldn't wait for anybody to tell him to do the needful. Let him resign, please.
Okay, well, that's your take and a strong one. All right, so I just do one last question before we let you go. Okay, what do you have to say to those people that are contemplating to boycott the polls?
Boycotting the polls is not the right thing to do. Boycotting any process, be it an election or anything that looks like an election, could actually result in violence. People that plan to boycott a process such as this incoming election could actually do that with good intent, but their followers and their supporters may not know their intent, and as such, that may result in wanton violence. I am calling on Nigerians. I'm calling on all political parties and their supporters. I'm calling on the leadership of all the political parties, especially the four big parties that we have. That is the People's Democratic Party,
The
the Labour
APC?
Party, the APC, and the New Nigerian People's Party, the
Mm.
Pancasas NPP, to please talk to their supporters. Let us once again have confidence on ourselves, though not on INEC. Let's have confidence on ourselves that we can do it better. It is needless boycotting the elections. Already, we have passed the first leg of the elections.
All
I
right,
am
thank
not
you.
in support of boycotting the elections.
Okay. Thank you so much, Barrister, for being a part of the show today.
Thank you very much for having me, Rachel.
All right, so I will back on the show. This is just to remind you that we have a few minutes before we call off the show. Meanwhile, you can be a part of the show by calling us. The phone number is on your TV screen, or sending us a WhatsApp or a text message. While the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC had on Wednesday night postponed the Saturday, March 11th governorship and state assembly elections to March 18, 2023. And the commission announced the postponement of the elections at the end of its management meeting chaired by the chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, in Abuja. And in their statement by its National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, he said the postponement was as a result of the litigation against the electoral body. He said that following Wednesday's ruling by the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal on the reconfiguration of the beavers used for the presidential election held on February 25, 2023, that the Commission met to assess its impact on its preparations for the governorship and state House of Assembly elections that was scheduled for March 11th. It also recalled that on March 3rd, the presidential of course, the Election Petition Tribunal gave an expert order to some political parties to inspect materials used for the presidential elections, including the forensic inspection of over 176,000 beavers used in the elections, which are located in INEC local government area offices across the country. While the Commission approached the tribunal to reconsider the order, given that the beaver systems were to be deployed for the governorship and state assembly elections, and that the lack of a clearly defined time frame for the inspection could disrupt the Commission's ability to conduct the outstanding elections. It said, for instance, the beavers can only be activated on the specific date and time of an election. Now, having been used for the presidential and National Assembly elections on 25th February, it was necessary to reconfigure the beavers for activation on the date of the governorship and state assembly elections. And while the ruling of the tribunal makes it possible for the Commission to commence the preparations of the beavers for the governorship and state assembly elections, it had come far too late for the reconfiguration to be concluded. And consequently, the Commission had taken a difficult but necessary decision to reschedule the governorship and state assembly elections, which will now take place on Saturday, 18th March 2023. And by this decision, campaigns had been urged to continue until midnight of first day, which is 16th day of March 2023. That was 24 hours before the new date for the elections. And the decision had not been taken lightly, but it was necessary to ensure that there is adequate time to back up the data stored on the over 176,000 beavers machines from the presidential and National Assembly elections held on 25th February, and then to reconfigure them for the governorship and state assembly elections. Now, it had also been the practice for all elections, including the period when the Commission was using the smart card readers. The Commission actually got a nod to reconfigure the beavers. And meanwhile, the Court of Appeal in Abuja yesterday approved the application by the INEC to reconfigure that election. So that's when I say they got a nod to reconfigure that the beavers for the governorship polls. All right, let's see if we can take a call or two before we round up the show. Feel free to call us. The phone number is on your TV screen. Be a part of the show. Let us get to know your view. Do you think that because the election has been postponed, it would give INEC enough time, ample opportunity to, of course, clear the doubts that they had already put in the minds of Nigerians? Or do you think this is going to be another time for, of course, election riggers to, put more effort in trying to rig the coming elections? Well, let's get to know what your view is in just 2 minutes before we call off the show. Before the end of the show, I'd like to say that Nigeria is a great nation. And of course, kudos to Nigerians for keeping, staying peaceful. Yeah, for staying peaceful. Of course, there were speculations that if things don't turn out well, there may likely be a whole lot of protests across the country. Well, we saw some. We even saw a protest being led by the PDP presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. And of course, we saw some other protests, but it was actually peaceful. So I must say at this point, we give it to Nigerians to keep being peaceful. Nigeria is a great nation. And of course, if peace continues to reign, everything will fall back in place. Well, thank you for being a part of the show. And of course, it has been a great week on the show. The show returns to your TV screen next week. And of course, don't forget that we have lots and lots of other packages on Spectrum Television for you. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. My name is Rachel David White. Good evening.